Hello, I'm so sorry for missing this task. I kind of got caught up in my own students' midterms, and I'll tell you, I just usually don't do that. So I definitely dropped the ball, but I wanted to go ahead and reach out anyway. My literature review, I'd like to really focus on problem-based and project-based learning as an inclusive practice and strategy, especially for considering maybe upper undergraduates, juniors and seniors, and even professional students that are in, like me, that are in graduate school, and like kind of honoring their professional identity. There's some work I've been looking into recently by Carmen Lewis, Karen Wolf, and Bernard Becker. And essentially, they talk about uh, this concept of like super complexity that I've been interested in. So they say higher education is an era of super complexity and is tasked with multiple conflicting roles with the overarching intention of educating graduates with the requisite knowledge, skills, and citizenship and values to be able to contribute to the socioeconomic development and progress. But I really like to honor that kind of understanding of like what is really being asked of the university or the learning institution today, and how big of a challenge that really is as we move away from unequitable practices and the status quo. We also then have to take on new roles, um, and basically be a lot more multifaceted than we once were. I really liked some of your posts, and especially towards the beginning of class with Mike Rose and the work that he did, and kind of honoring the experiences that people are bringing to the university. And that's, to me, kind of the utmost importance in how I approach the learning environment and work with my students. And so at first I was kind of hesitant to do project-based, problem-based, because I get frustrated. It feels like there's no one strategy that can meet this kind of super complexity that is discussed. But I do think that this approach can honor the students' experience that they're bringing, especially if you can allow movement and freedom around the topic and the problem that the students are bringing to the table, um, as well as, varying ways that the students could answer those questions. And I know typically, if you kind of look at this contextually, there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. You can bring in industry partners who work as mentors, and you kind of solve their problem. But I think in this environment where we're thinking about college students, although I do work in a career center, and educational, experiential education, and so a big challenge and task is bringing industry partners to the table to work with students. But I think sometimes too, letting the students kind of bring the problems that they see to the table. And I think this is coming from my humanities background, and it might not work in every class, but I do think when we're looking at human problems or social problems, this can be very effective because it kind of honors the person's experience in their community and maybe the limitations of their community that they might want to address. So I really would think that this is the strategy that I want to look at. There are a lot of limitations. Like I said, I think this is a great approach for many different disciplines. And like in terms of like if you got a science based class, obviously you've got the hands-on lab, you're hypothesizing. It's almost always like inherently a problem-based experience. But I'm thinking more specifically for humanities, where the lab is just the social sphere, and the complexities of the social arena. and the the diversities that we want to offer. And so I'm thinking of like a philosophy class that I teach, or classes in education, uh, classes in communications. I mean, I think there's a lot of ways that problem based learning, um, based on the experiences of the students coming to the table, could be a good approach to kind of not only validate their experiences, but giving them tools and room to impact those experiences in a way that they feel is necessary. And so that's kind of what I want to look at so far. I'm looking at the work of Jose Vargas Hernandez, and then the one I mentioned. I'm looking at the work of Lisa Forbes. And then I haven't read it too much yet, but there's Marie Lejeune, which I'm not sure if I'm even pronouncing her name right because I'm not familiar, but that looked promising. And then probably Mike Rose, because really would like to dig into that a little bit more. So again, I apologize, and any credit you can give me would be great, but I totally understand. Um, the limitations there. And so thank you so much for your dedication to our class. I've had an amazing experience in both the classes that I've had with you. It's been right up my alley. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity to do this work. So thank you so much.